What kind of musk are you referring to exactly?
Oh, you know what kind of musk, sir.
Oh.
Zoop here with another episode of Battlefield and Brewskis in 3 minutes or less. This week is actually going to push 4 minutes. Apologies for that. This week, be a better tank driver. First, a quick warning. I'm not an expert and don't claim to be. On the Xbox One, I won over 80% of my tank battles. That's changed a little bit on PC in part due to the learning curve. With that in mind, these tips are what worked for me on the Xbox and are now working on the PC for me. Take these pointers with a grain of salt and use them for what you can. First and foremost, my loadout. I roll with Sabo rounds, always. They might not have the damage of the other rounds, but they fly fast and hard from range with much less drop-off than the HE rounds. They're like a rifle shot almost, and can better take down aircraft as well. This means less guesswork in aiming and elevation and the ability to be a helicopter sniping machine. I also roll with the heavy machine gun. Don't bother with staff shells or any of that BS. Ground troops are your second biggest threat behind other tanks, and a machine gun is your best defense. I use zoom optics, but that's just preference, and you can use FLIR or whatever you want. Active protection is key. This can be the difference between life and death, giving you the ability to take one or two more shots if timed correctly. With this loadout in mind, here are my tips for being a better tanker. Keep moving. It's not as highly critical as it is to a boat driver, but a sitting tank is an easy target for sneaky recons with C4 who pop up or parachute almost everywhere. Always take the furthest shot you can that you know you'll be able to score a hit with. Basically, fire first and fire from afar. Try to maintain the element of surprise. This is where Sabo rounds shine. Use cover. Don't just sit there in a one-on-one tank battle in an urban setting. Rock back and forth. Hide behind walls. Chances are your enemy is just sitting there taking damage. If you move back and forth, he's likely to miss you, while you can still hit him. If you have the advantage, have taken less damage, charge your enemy. Ram him head on. It'll mess up his aim, his orientation, and give you another advantage. Know your threats. Nothing is worse than taking out the first tank only to find out there is another tank right around the corner, and now you're at 25% health to boot. This leads into another point. Know when to fold him. There's no dishonor in retreating if you know you can stay in the fight longer. In a tank battle in an open field, make a pass and try to maneuver behind the enemy tank. Don't stop and back up to attack. Keep circling. A tank's weakest spot to aim for is its rear. That should be your goal. Also, be aware of your surroundings. Don't be that guy that turns the tank into a submarine. Go down with the tank. People are crafty. Don't jump out to kill that engineer torching you. Actually, let your gunner do that if you have one. If you jump out, he's just going to jump right in your tank, then kill you. Don't give the other team more firepower. Now for the second seat. A good gunner can make all the difference. Here's some tips for them. A gunner's primary job is to protect the tank from ground troops. That's it. Always be pointed in the direction the main turret is not. That way you have 360-degree coverage and those sneaky recons can't see for you while you're both firing at something in front of you. While on the move, spot often and always. The worst thing in the world is for a tank to run over mines when it could have been completely avoided by a simple spot. Lastly, repair. If you plan on being a tank gunner, be an engineer. Repair the tank. Now, if you're going to use a tank, really use it. Don't just sit back in your spawn point shooting from afar. This happens all too much on Gall Mood. Get in the fight. Tanks are force multipliers. A single tank can alter an enemy's plan of attack while providing teammates the intestinal fortitude needed to PTFO and take some objectives. So there you have it. Few tips for you tank beginners out there, and maybe some things to ponder for your vets. Now moving on. All hardened tankers are beer drinkers, so here's one you should try. Founders Breakfast Stout. Not only does this beer have a very cool and controversial label with a smiling child eating porridge, it happens to be one of the best readily available stouts on the market. Drink it right away or let it mature for a year like I did for differing and complex tastes. This stout is no slouch at close to 9% alcohol by volume and has strong notes of Kona coffee and chocolate. It pours black with a thin brown head and smells heavenly. It goes down smooth with nary a taste of the strong alcohol content it contains. Really, drink this with bacon and eggs in the morning to jumpstart your weekend. It will not disappoint. That wraps up another Battlefield and Brewskis. Go jump in a tank and wreak some havoc. Zoop out.